Dr. Peter Glidden, your steadfast advocate for health. You know, there have been a lot of stupid theories over time. Scientific, social, medical, just stupidity. You know, first things first, the earth is flat. If you go too far you're going to go over the edge. It's lights out, game over. The earth is supported on the backs of 4 elephants. Was that really a thing? Did people actually believe that, or did people just say that that was a thing? Don't really know. But you see where I'm going with this. More currently, those African Americans, those blacks, they're not really humans. They're just animals. That's how slavery was justified for centuries. Nonsense. Women aren't smart enough to vote. Nonsense. You can't have a valid economy without childhood labor. Nonsense. The effective income tax rate should be 90%. Nonsense. How about this in medicine, that all disease is caused by an imbalance of humors in the body, and to cure disease, you just have to bleed the bad humors out. That's how George Washington was killed. Can you imagine? After everything that George Washington went through in order to birth the United States, the medical doctors killed him because they bled him to death. And nobody went to jail. More's the pity. Chemotherapy is the latest medical myth, right? Mythology exists not just in the past, but in every decade and every century. And there are an abundance of medical myths, social myths, which we are experiencing right now. And I just need to shrug it off and speak my mind, because this whole woke culture, I've had it up to here. It's nonsense, but I'll get to that in a minute. Conventional medicine in the United States, MD-directed medicine, is the leading cause of death and the leading cause of bankruptcy. And how can that be so? Well, what's the most expensive type of medicine? It's the one that doesn't cure anything. Your medical doctor may be the nicest person God ever created, but your medical doctor doesn't practice medicine. Your medical doctor practices allopathic medicine, and allopathic medicine is based upon an outdated, old-fashioned, incorrect theory about how the human body is and how the human body operates. Allopathic medicine is oppositionally defiant, and it does not believe in natural law. It doesn't. According to the medical doctor, life begins whenever the doctor says life begins. Oh, it's when the baby can survive outside the womb. Oh, it's when we hear the heartbeat. Oh, when is it? Well, the doctor decides. It has nothing to do with a set in stone fact of natural law. It has nothing to do with that. And oh, by the way, consciousness itself is a function of biochemistry. There's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as anything metaphysical. If it can't be measured, it doesn't exist. When the body dies, consciousness dies. The body doesn't have the ability to fix itself. Otherwise, it never would have gotten sick in the first place. And it's the doctor's job not to cure anything, because that can't happen. It's the doctor's job to manage symptoms with synthetic, man-made, extremely expensive pharmaceuticals. How's that working for you? Not so good, right? You have been brainwashed to believe that life sucks and then you die, and the older you get, the sicker you get, and thank God for Big Pharma. Conventional medical doctors are trained to exert a hostile takeover of the human body, forcing the body into a corner that the doctor thinks is appropriate with pharmaceuticals. And look, thank God for insulin. Thank God for lidocaine and general anesthesia, for goodness sakes. The wheelhouse of MD-directed medicine is trauma care and surgery when it's necessary. That's what the MDs are good at, but for everything else, they're horrible. And, oh, by the way, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So from my point of view, most of the time, surgery is not necessary. But that's all the MDs have, and that's what they're going to do. Chemotherapy doesn't work. The numbers are in. Chemotherapy is a failed methodology. Millions of people have died in the last 20 years, not from cancer, but from chemotherapy. Medical doctors don't even know how to cure heartburn. How effective do you think they're going to be at curing cancer? Did I hear you say completely ineffective? That's correct. Oh, but a cure is just around the corner. Now it's genetics. It's all about genetics. Well, guess what? Biochemistry orchestrates genetics by way of a phenomenon called epigenetics. It is how your genes turn on and off based on metabolic biochemical stress. These facts are lost upon your MD. And more is the pity here. Because as you follow these people's advice, your health gets worse, your bank account gets shorter. I mean, how much money are you spending for medical insurance every month? How much? And while you were paying those large sums for decades, you got sick. And then the medical insurance that you've paid tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for only allows you access to MD-directed medicine, the intention of which is not to cure anything. I mean, these people don't even know how to cure heartburn. But let's go to them. Let's take their advice. Yeah, I don't think so. One of the best things you can do in order to secure your health and have a healthy future is disregard your medical doctor's advice. Fire your medical doctor, hire a naturopathic doctor. That's the best thing that you could possibly do. Because they do not practice healthcare. By definition, your medical doctor practices disease management. Now, who would you rather go to, a disease management specialist or a healthcare specialist? Well, I'm going to take healthcare, Johnny, for $500, please. You know, stupid theories abound, right? They're everywhere all of the time. Now this whole woke culture, you've got to be kidding. Right? There's not two genders. There's as many genders as you want. Now, how is a thought process like this even possible? Because people in the woke culture don't have a sense or an appreciation or even a belief of anything like natural law. It's all a fiction. If it can't be measured, it doesn't exist. Thus spake the MD. So since nobody's ever dissected the soul out of the human body or seen it with an MRI or a CT scan, it doesn't exist, and there's no such thing as natural law. There can be as many sexes as you want. So you're a female, you feel like a male, and then, you know, that's something. If you're a male and you feel like a female, that's another thing. And look, make it up as we go along. It's nonsense. These ridiculous, and they are ridiculous notions. And everybody said, oh, Dr. Glidden, you shouldn't put this video out. You shouldn't record this video. You shouldn't speak your mind like this because the social justice people are going to come down on you hard. What do I care how somebody who thinks sexuality is a movable target, why should I care what those people think? They're children. And somehow they've been invited to the adult table. I guess that's the natural repercussion of a culture wherein everybody gets an award. Everybody's idea is valid. Well, guess what? No, they're not. Now, look, don't get me wrong. I can't think of a more horrible fate than to be in a male's body but have a consciousness of a female or vice versa. I can't think of a more horrible thing. My heart goes out to these people. For goodness sakes, these people shouldn't be discriminated against. They should be helped. But what's the fix? I'll tell you what the fix is. Surgery and a lifetime of drugs, which argues against the notion that it's a natural thing. It's not a natural, normal thing. It's not. Oh, but in the wonderful world of woke culture, natural doesn't apply. It's whatever the person says applies. Whatever the person thinks. It's reality by consensus. So since 30%, more than 30% of our adult and childhood population isn't just overweight, they're obese. Now, obesity is the new normal, and it's a normal thing. It's not an abnormality. It's not an illness. It's not anything that needs to be fixed or changed. It just needs to be embraced and accepted. BS. It's not normal, for goodness sakes. It's a reflection of an imbalance in the body that sophisticated, smart doctors, licensed and regulated, naturopathic physicians attempt to get on the other side of it. And that, by the way, is what we do with all disease, which is why I named my second book, Attempt to Cure, with holistic medicine, because that is exactly what holistic doctors do. We attempt to cure the condition. We attempt to support and promote the body's built-in God-given ability to fix itself with therapeutics that we have developed and delivered. That is the obligation of the naturopathic doctor. But this is lost in the noise of the 21st century. For goodness sakes, God is real. The Spirit is real. Life after death is real. And I'm not advocating any one religion here. I am not. The simple fact of the matter is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and the relationship between the spirit, the soul, whatever you want to call it, and the human body is intimate and profound. The human body has indwelling intelligence. It knows how to fix itself. It wants to fix itself. It's trying to fix itself all of the time. And that's what myself and my colleagues bring to the table. And you should seek us out. You should learn about us. You should know about us. You should run to our offices, for goodness sakes. This is the best thing to happen to science, medicine, since the invention of the sterile technique, the naturopathic medical profession. But Big Pharma has told you for 108 years now that myself and my colleagues are quacks. Oh, dangerous quacks. Meanwhile, while they've been in charge, look what's happened. Life expectancy getting shorter, Alzheimer's through the roof, autism through the roof. Just as much heart disease now as there was 50 years ago before the advent of statin drugs. For goodness sakes, wake up. The woke people need to wake up. Because there is so much more going on here than meets the eye. There. I got it off my chest. I feel much better now. I am and always will be, God willing and the creek don't rise, your steadfast advocate for health, speaking truth to idiocy 24/7 with one half of my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. Sorry, Rush. I stole that from you. God willing and the creek don't rise, I'll see you around campus. Keep the faith.